live, and I am very, very appreciative that you're with me on America's Mayor Live. And we're coming to you from Palm Beach, Florida. And I was absent for 1 week and 2 days. And I was in the hospital. I was suffering from viral pneumonia. I have I don't know scientifically if this is correct, but I feel like I've recovered 100%. And did some physical exercising. I've been home a few days and doing really, really well. And very, very energized by doing the show. I did my earlier show, the Rudy Giuliani show on Lindell TV. Really felt good doing it, and have been missing you. And I hope you've been missing me. I want to thank, as I did earlier on the show, I want to thank the people who helped me most, Dr. Maria, who was in charge of my care. As I pointed out, she's both a medical provider, nurse practitioner, medical provider. Under the state laws in New Hampshire, she can virtually do everything but operate, which means she can prescribe medicine and diagnose diseases. And she has a tremendous amount of experience in small hospitals, large hospitals, big hospitals, as well as a doctorate in hospital administration. And she ran a hospital for a number of years in New Hampshire, and for 7 years was the leading rural CEO of hospitals in the United States of America. So if it weren't for Dr. Maria, I'd have been far sicker. And she got me to take care of it just at the right time and stayed extremely attentive to my care. Then, of course, I have to thank my wonderful family who came, and they seemed to be there before I was sick. My son Andrew and his wife Seville, and my wonderful granddaughter Grace. And Seville and Grace are with me tonight. You may hear Grace running around. She had a little cameo appearance on the earlier show. And also my daughter Caroline and her wonderful husband Michael were with me to give me what's the most important thing you need at a time like that, in addition to prayers, which is love. I got plenty of that from a lot of people. I want to thank Ted right here for all the work he did carrying things on and getting us back together, and also for his prayers and his kindness and his love. And I
don't know how much I helped, but I made sure I was around.
And then I want to thank the president for the wonderful call that he made to me. We had given the condition I was in at the time, I was recovering at the time, but I was still pretty sick. And we had a wonderful conversation. I mean, it was everything that you expect to have with a very good friend.
And his team stayed in touch with us the entire time, Mayor. I got to tell you, I heard from multiple members of the White House, and they wanted updates. They wanted to know how America's mayor was doing.
When you consider how busy he is at the time,
right,
that he spent with me and the care, and also the other people that were motivated by him to call me and make expressions of prayer and support and just say nice things about me.
Right.
It was very, very, very loving and very caring. And it does, if you've ever been through something like this, it does help. Right. People say, well, gee, how does it help? It really helps. It really helps when Maria or someone would come in and read to me, or Andrew, or
and special shout out to Andrew's good friend, someone you know very well as well, Sean Kalin, and his son.
When I went into the hospital, I had to get emergency treatment, and they said something about how this was going to be hard. And I don't know what they were talking about exactly. They probably meant getting me in the elevator. I said, yeah, this is going to be hard. And I just repeated what they said. And I heard Sean say, for you, it'll be easy. I said, no, it's going to be hard. He said, it'll be easy. And then I looked in his eyes, and he looked at me like, you're a hero. He said, it can be easy. I said, Sean, it's going to be easy. And I also had a very, very, I believe for me, a very significant spiritual experience at a time in which I was, I don't know, I'll have to officially find out from Dr. Maria if I don't think I was unconscious, but I was in a state of like, out of it. And so I would equate it to a dream of my being online, headed for I can't say headed for heaven, headed for a trial, I think, with St. Peter. And there was a very, very significant intervention by my Peter. I have my own Peter. Peter Powers, Peter J. Powers, my friend of my lifetime, along with Monsignor Alan J. Plaka, whom I also had wonderful conversations. And Peter said some very significant words. And I made sure as soon as I woke up, I started telling people. And then I recorded it in part. Andrew recorded it. And I also, as soon as I could, wrote it out so that I wouldn't forget it. And it's meant a lot to me. And I've been reflecting on it quite a bit. And I do want to have the right time to describe it correctly. I don't want to embellish it. I don't want to deny what was there. But it was very, and I did shortly after get a chance to discuss it with a wonderful, wonderful priest. He spent about an hour and a half with me going over. Well, today we might as well stay on that theme. And today is I believe, 109th anniversary of the appearance of Our Lady of Fatima in Fatima, Portugal, to the 3 young Portuguese children who were put through a very, very difficult time because there was so much cynicism and doubt about it, only to have it affirmed under unbelievable circumstances on the 13th of October, I believe it was, when the miracle of light took place, when Our Lady appeared. There are many, many parts to Our Lady of Fatima, and any number of times we've made reference to it. In the background of the show, I've put it out this time. I always keep this statue of her. And sometime I'll tell you the very special reason for it. But the one that I want to emphasize right now, because it's so timely, one of the big warnings that she made. Now, I don't want to give the impression this is all she did. She basically said that us humans sin too much, and we are really disappointing God who loves us. And she gave a lot of advice to the young children on how to motivate people to lead better lives, a lot of it having to do with prayer and the rosary and meditations. And but then she talked about nations, and of course the world was at war then. And she predicted the end of the First World War. She predicted this Second World War. She predicted the either attempted assassination or assassination of a pope. And then she said that for the world to be saved, or to be what God wants, there has to be a complete conversion of Russia. Russia has to convert from homicidal atheistic communism, which is the scourge of the world, to love of God. And it was a stark message, a dramatic message. If I'm not mistaken, Portugal was a left of center government then, Marxist, very impressed with the Russian Revolution. Russian Revolution may have cost more Russian lives than the Germans took. I mean, these communists, like the Chinese that the president's meeting with, and the Russians and the Iranians, like to kill their own people in the millions. And she said we should pray and work toward the conversion of Russia. And really, I think she would say the elimination of communism. So here we are with the President of the United States, all these years later. The mantle of major communist power in the world has moved from Russia to China, probably from horrible to even worse. And we will be talking about how we are dealing with it. But after we do that, why don't we sometime tonight remember that it's a feast of Our Lady of Fatima, and just say one quick prayer for the conversion of Russia and China. And with that, we'll get to Ted's going to catch up on what the president's doing, because I think his availability was supposed to start at 8 again.
That's right.
But sometimes these things go off a little, a couple of minutes off here and there. So let's start with let's start with China on something else for a second, just to get. Well, they're okay. Well, show that, please.
Yeah. Just B-roll while you talk.
This is when he arrives, right,
Right.
in China. I always love these. I like
Yeah.
pageantry. I don't know if you do, but I really
yeah,
like
big time. They had with him on this trip a number of the biggest CEOs in America. Of course, Tim Cook with Apple, Elon Musk with SpaceX. We got Mr. Robbins with Cisco, General Electric, some of the biggest companies.
Wait, it has Elon. Who else? Who did you say? SpaceX?
Yeah, Elon Musk of SpaceX.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And NVIDIA, the chip maker, which is the largest company in the world. That's got to be something having him on there.
Yeah, we're holding him back from China.
And what we do know is that the
That's a race in a hole.
the president's entire staff and that they're in an electronic blackout to keep the Chinese from being able to spy on their devices. So I wonder how that's going for the staff. No phones, no electronic devices while they're there at the hotel. Curious how that'll work. Maybe they'll have special devices just for the trip.
Every time I went, I got a burner phone.
Right. I bet you they have burner phones.
I got a burner phone, and not every time I went, but the time that I went where I was thrown out, basically thrown out, they were going through my luggage every day. And of course, maybe they think you're stupid, but I ran a security company, one of the largest security companies. They had great people working for me. And of course, they booby trapped we did.
Right.
We booby trapped everything to see if they moved things. And they didn't put it back. That I was surprised about. So
you put it back. They put it back.
No, they didn't put it back.
Oh, they didn't. Okay.
They didn't, the jackasses.
Yeah, that's like.
I said, you ain't gonna win this war, boys, until you learn how to do that.
Yeah.
A couple of little basics like that are very important. You think the Israelis would have forgot that? No. I don't know. Maybe I take the Israelis in a war with China. I don't know.
Well, we'll see, Mayor. What do you predict? How will the conversations between President Trump and President Xi Jinping on Iran, how is that going to go? Where do you see things there?
Well, why wait any longer? I mean, that is the big story. And I did this here. I did the main issues. There are more. Right. And we're going to add some for tomorrow and as we move along and as we see what gets developed. But what I could tell, and I had plenty of time to read up on this. I really feel like I did a course on China while I was sick. Right. I knew it was going to happen, and I wanted to be ready for it.
Sure.
Sometimes you can't do all the preparation you want to do.
Right.
I would say, and this is not necessarily the order of importance. I don't think. No, I take that back. I was going to say, I don't think they know yet what the order of importance is. I think they do. Artificial intelligence, trade. Now, trade's a big topic. Taiwan is a short topic, but a critical topic. I mean, you get the discussion on Taiwan over within 2 minutes. Depends on what you say. I know that. I got thrown out of China over Taiwan. Yeah. Nuclear weapons and prisoners. Which includes, the one they put on the top, which I think is a terrible mistake for Jimmy Lai, who was the free speech advocate in Hong Kong, who was double-crossed by the Brits selling Hong Kong out to China.
Okay.
And he's now in jail. He's a 78-year-old man. He's very ill. And for some reason, they really have it in for him. So these are the main issues, and we'll go into detail on some of them tonight. Some of the other nights, we can do a real superficial analysis of it and who wins or who loses. Artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence maybe is the single most critical issue between us and China. More important, as it turns out now, than nuclear weapons, because if you control the artificial intelligence at a level that the other guy can't understand, you can control the nuclear weapons.
Right.
And right now we are, they say, 8 months ahead of them on artificial intelligence,
right?
Which is critical. Like if we were to go to war now or go into we would be able to run rings around them,
right?
With our artificial intelligence.
Okay.
but they're catching up. Like 2 years ago, we were like a year and a half to 2 years ahead of them. So they're catching up. At the same time, since Trump came in, he's been putting distance. So the 8 months is for real. It's no worse than that. It could be getting better.
Right.
It was getting worse. And this is where Numidia becomes so important. And not just Numidia, but also the Taiwanese. Yeah. The Taiwanese make the Chinese make most of the chips.
Right.
But so can anybody else. And a lot of them they buy and just Right. Taiwan makes the chip of chips. And China does not have the present generation.
Right.
Or possibly even the one before. And the issue is, will we share it with them? And right now, we're talking about maybe doing it. We need, but we haven't shared it with them. What we did do when they tried to cut off our precious minerals, which would be under the category of trade, the number 2 category. When they did that, we just pulled back even some more chips.
Right.
Boom. Immediately, China started screaming, yelling, crying, and they gave us our minerals that we wanted. But they promised more than they gave. I suspect now, because we probably promised more than we gave too. This is very, very much an extremely disciplined process. It's negotiations at the highest levels where little points make a difference. So the question is, if we wanted to make a move on artificial intelligence and let them improve themselves, and probably because we're internally assured that even if we do that, we're starting to operate on more cylinders than we used to. Trump did it right away when he first came into office, which is why he's a great president and doesn't get credit for it, because the press is so ridiculously biased and so poorly educated and so undisciplined and so out and out stupid. They couldn't figure out what the heck he was doing with the Korean coming to play golf with him before he became president.
Right.
Well, we were at Mar-a-Lago. We all knew what he was doing, Ruddy, and we all knew exactly what he was doing. The Taiwanese coming there, the Koreans also. And what he did, I think he did this before he came into office and was ready. They made this massive investment in the United States, 200 trillion, 300 trillion. But it isn't just an investment of money. They're going to build these chip plants in America. And it makes sense because to know how to negotiate, you got to explain to the other guy why it's good for him. You say, well, Taiwan wants to hold this just for themselves, I mean, China could attack Taiwan. China could destroy the chips. China could take the chips. If they were to be attacked by China, I imagine they've got a protocol to destroy all those chips, so China can't get their hands on them. Isn't it a lot more sense to duplicate almost exactly the same thing in another country you can trust? That's what they're doing. So it's going to take a while. We're already ahead of where we were, which is why I think we're gaining time on that 8 months. But there will come a time, and I'm not expert enough on this to tell you exactly when, but possibly before the end of Trump's administration, there'll be a time where we'll be able to do in America exactly what they're doing in Taiwan. And if the Chinese would have put out the chips there, well, the Taiwanese can count on us to supply the chips for them. And it is the one major advantage that they have. Well, there is. It's our ace in the hole. Now we have about 10 others. They've got about 2. So when they say that China has the upper hand, that's pure propaganda. China has strength, a lot more than they used to have, but they do, on any objective basis, they don't have anywhere near the upper hand. For a while, a few years ago, they were making progress at such an alarming rate that you could start to predict that they might overtake us, but 30 years, 40 years from now. We're moving that toward the end of the century now, if at all. Trade goes from the ridiculous to the sublime. But I don't mean ridiculous. All of it's important. I mean, it goes from simple things like soybeans and agriculture, and which our farmers want badly, and it would be great for our economy, to trade involving the things we're talking about, the rare earths, the minerals, the things that we have that they can only get from us. We also have the volume issue on them. We're their biggest store, and you just can't get some of the things elsewhere that you can get in America. It isn't the same thing. So here in trade, in artificial intelligence, we're 8 months ahead. In trade, we're ahead by force of volume. And we need them very badly. Medicines, minerals, we said, many other things. But do you know they need us probably at a factor of 3 or 4 to 1? If we were to stop trading completely, we'd be in really bad shape and they'd be destroyed. Now, and they are trying to do the same thing we're doing. We're trying to diversify, right? We're trying to not be dependent on China for rare earths, minerals. They're trying not to be dependent on about 100 things from us. Their ability to invigorate and move their economy is severely limited by the economic and political system they have called communism. It's a top-down command economy. Here's the difference. We have to produce a lot more and find a lot more rare earths and minerals. They have to figure out how to make the chips that are being made in Taiwan and now in America. We ain't giving it to the top end ones, which is right now the only ones that count. And if we give it to them, we're going to have them give us their right arm. So they're working really hard to try to catch us on that. In order to do that, they have to also increase their economy because they need a lot of money. What do you think Trump is getting all these investments for? Over the last year and a half, who do you think got more foreign investment, the United States or China? It's not even close. It's not even close. Why would you invest in China? They might take your money from you. If you invest in China, the government's your partner. If you invest in the United States, one of those 20 billionaires he brought with him is your partner. And some of them don't even talk to each other. What works better? I command that you produce the highest level chips in the world, or we take away your food, or I encourage you to be able to find and to produce and to manufacture the same minerals that are being done in China, so we don't have to depend on them. And I do it through many, many different organizations. I do it very privately. I put in the profit motive. I give you the chance to become very wealthy if you do it. I give you the chance to compete with other people. I give you the chance to cooperate with them when you think the cooperation works. And I create incentives for you to do it, as opposed to I do a command down order like, you will produce chips, as opposed to let's figure out the millions of ways we can catch China on these rare earths. Let's get everybody involved. And a couple of you guys to really get involved, you're going to become billionaires if you work with us. Well, you know the answer to that. And that's at the core of why our children are so poorly educated. It's what they're taught in school. They're not taught what I just told you. Mm-hmm. They're not taught the basics of Adam Smith. And this isn't just communism is not an alternative economic theory. There are alternative economic theories, a lot of sub-theories. Command and domination structure by the government and no ownership of property is insane. Not an effective economic system. And even if people don't revolt against it, and they almost always do, and get violent, and they always do, it doesn't work to get the best out of them. Putting them in the gulag, if they're not working hard enough, doesn't get them to work harder. It just wears them down and kills them. The next issue is is anybody going to make an unforced error? Taiwan. Here's how they have to come out of Taiwan. Exactly the way they went in. It's a strange formula. Leave it to Nixon and Kissinger and Mao Zedong and Yupa Dupa. Does the United States, Taiwan is a big ally of the United States. Most people feel, although there is some doubt about it, but most people feel, and I do, if Taiwan were to be attacked, we would be there at least as much as the way we were for Israel, and probably more. And we think Taiwan would also get considerably more support because they haven't been subjected to all the bad publicity that unfairly that Israel has. However, when we reestablished our relationships with China under Richard Nixon and Henry Kissinger, we stopped recognizing Taiwan as a separate government. And we accepted that China felt they were part of China. We didn't dispute that. But we did not go so far as to support Taiwanese independence or reunification with China. We're silent on it. I know, it's weird. It's diplomacy. And it works. So what does Xi want to do? Xi Jinping wants to move Trump as much as he can toward independence. Now, if he can get them all the way there, because right now, he doesn't support, the President of the United States does not support, and the United States, as a matter of foreign policy, does not support independence for Taiwan, nor do they support control by China. In essence, we support the status quo. That might be the easiest way to look at it. Now, if the president were to say anything that moves it a little bit in that direction, that would be a vast public relations coup for Xi, who would run with it to the goalpost. Of course, if he just does a little, it's not going to matter. I mean, Biden screwed it up several times, different ways. I mean, Biden said we'd go to war over Taiwan, which we have never said we would. We've never said we wouldn't. And when he did that, all the State Department has to correct him. And then Biden had to give away all kinds of crap to them to make up for it. So, yes, you can make a mistake here, and it's not going to be critical. He's certainly not going to recognize independence for it, which would be very, very damaging. That's out of the question. And the best thing, in Rudy's opinion, is leave it alone. Don't do what I did, which is I told the head of the Communist Party in Beijing.
Yeah, I love that.
They could win over Taiwan. I'm really in favor of their winning it over. But Taiwan, right now I don't see how it would happen, since Taiwan had to work really hard to be a democracy, and you're a dictatorship. Why would they want to join you? And they go from being this little tiny island, you've got a big giant country. They're like the 10th or 12th strongest economy in the world. I mean, Taiwan's not like. So this also, were he to make even the slightest little gesture away from our position, even tiny bit, the press would go nuts. Now, they've made so much of his screwing it up, right?
Right.
If he doesn't, although this is not a substantive win. So this one, when we get down to scoring the summit, there are going to be several possibilities of scoring here. There's no possibility either one is going to get all they want. So it's going to be, does anybody tip it either way? Well, Xi is not going to tip it. Of all these things, believe it or not, this is probably what he thinks about the most, which is a little bit of a distortion in terms of what's good for his country. Honestly, Taiwan doesn't matter that much to China. China is not going to overtake us or not overtake us if they take over Taiwan or they don't. China's goal is to overtake the United States. Taiwan is a digression. So Trump makes a slight mistake here. He loses the summit. Not the whole thing, but it's going to be tough to overcome. Trump keeps his mouth shut. He wins the summit, unless something else goes wrong. Pretty easy way to win it. Nuclear weapons. Well, China, unlike the Soviet Union, where we've had nuclear treaties to limit nuclear weapons, the whole thing, we don't have one with China. And China is still way behind us, but capable of hitting us now and capable of doing substantial damage to us. They are the third biggest nuclear power in the war. US, Russia, them. And then North Korea, probably. Maybe India. Pakistan, much less. And of course, there was Iran on the table, but bye-bye. So nuclear weapons, I really think we would like to see China and the US in some kind of a limitation situation where they limit, because we're always willing to limit. But one of the reasons we're willing to limit is, one really great one is worth 10 big ones, 10 not so great ones.
Right.
And right now we're sitting with certain weapons.
This doesn't have your notes on it, but it's kind of a nice little chart.
If we're sitting with certain weapons that are just impossible. We got one of them on an aircraft carrier sitting right out of Gibraltar. I'm not giving away anything that isn't in the newspapers, nor do I think I would understand it to explain it to you, although I probably understand more of it than I should explain, which I'm not. But I'm going to tell you the end result. So the real problem is that, even if you get 3-4 minutes, the missile has to emerge at some time, right?
Right.
Not this one. This one will hit you so fast. First of all, it can be delivered under the water without being detected. And then just come right up, hop on a shore and take out a city. And then it can do a lot of other things, which I'm not going to tell you about.
Yeah.
And we're the only ones who have it. And we deployed it. I don't mean we used it. I mean, we got it available. Because it can be used at all different levels. You can scale it back and you can scale it up. In other words, it doesn't have to be used nuclear. You can deliver a ballistic missile that way. So let's say you want to take out a particular cache of arms or something. You just head it there and there's no chance they can stop it. Next time we have to have a war with something like Iran, we won't have to go in and take out their military because their military won't mean anything. We have that. They don't have it. We ain't giving it to them. Would we cut back? Yes. Would this be a plus if what they agree on is to start talking about it? Yeah. But not do anything. Yeah. Same thing with artificial intelligence. They should start a talking group on it because, and this we'll get into tomorrow night, because this is extraordinarily complicated and not necessarily obvious. There is an argument that I'm not sold on yet that it would be valuable to give them more artificial intelligence. And Think about it overnight. It'll help your creative juices. Why? Here we have this enemy that wants to take us over and, kills people like crazy. Why we want to give them a more lethal weapon? I'll give you a hint. So we're in control of it. But we don't give them the whole thing. And we make sure we're always ahead. As opposed to trying to crush them. And although we're pretty confident they can't do what we do, the miracle of recreation, and because of their command, they could always develop it on their own, even accidentally. So, fascinating issue, isn't it?
It
So
really
finally,
is.
we get to prisoners. Now, there are a lot of prisoners. I shouldn't say a lot. There are a lot of prisoners. These are dissidents and people who are taken and people who are taken for no reason, all kinds of things. There is one who gets more attention than anyone else, and for good reason. Jimmy Lai, who was a publisher in Hong Kong, who was a supporter of, he is a supporter of freedom. God bless him for the Chinese people. I believe he's a Christian. And they have him in jail, torturing him for no reason. And he's 78 years old, and he's beloved, and people around the world. I mean, like this is a big issue in England. It's a big issue even in the countries we don't get along with too well. And they all want him out. Trump wants him out. But it's not as easy as you think. He could get him out. I'll give you an example. He gives him the chip. He gets him out. Is it worth it? Please, Jimmy, don't get mad at me. Is it worth it? Now, on a much lesser level, and we're not going to be able to analyze all of this because we're not going to know it, but we'll get a feel for it. That's going to really be the winner or loser here. Nobody here is getting too much of value for nothing. These are two extraordinarily skilled groups of negotiators, the best in the world. They've been doing it forever. They've been facing each other off forever. There have been times in which one seems to have gotten a lead, whatever. If we want from them, particularly something new, if we want a continuation for a while of the rare earths and the minerals, I think a continuation for a while of the chips at the level we're at right now will probably do that. We want more rare earths and minerals, or we want Jimmy Lai out. They're going to want more than they're getting. And then the question, there will be times in which it's worth giving it to them. And there'll be times in which it isn't.
Mm-hmm.
The same thing for them. They're making the same trade-off. And the question is, who wins that? Who wins that? Not who wins the ones we're going to get to see. I mean, there would be a couple of things. If we just gave him the chip without a hell of a lot, simple enough to say, we just gave him the super chip, we lose. They win.
Right. Trade's
going to come out equal. We do it too much.
That's a constant back and forth.
Yeah. And it's a little bit, no, it isn't though. Because in trade, we're talking about the minerals and the things that we need very badly.
We need, they have.
Yeah. And we have, they need. So is somebody going to have to give away a little bit more to get what they need?
That's the question.
Yeah. And can they get it cheaper?
And are they willing to wait out President Trump and try to get to a more friendly administration?
Yeah.
That's the one issue.
But the problem is we may be too far ahead.
Okay.
They're losing time on artificial intelligence. So these two come together, really. These two come together. And my prediction is these are going to come out pretty even. Yeah. They're both too smart for anybody to just blow this away.
Right.
This comes out even. Taiwan is simple. You say something that indicates you're moving slightly toward the Chinese communist position, we lose. You keep your mouth shut, you win.
And that's when where China will wait out the Trump administration.
Nuclear weapons are a plus. If you get nothing on nuclear weapons, you get nothing on nuclear weapons. If you get something on nuclear weapons, that's a plus for us.
Because
if we can get them even into like with artificial intelligence, Well, artificial intelligence would probably offer them, and trade, we're going to offer them a board of trade. That's like, ice in winter. The board of trade could mean something, not mean something. It's a good thing to do, but it might not mean a breakthrough.
Right.
Nuclear weapons, if you get something will happen because there's a lot of pressure around the world to make it happen. So that would be a plus.
But
if we could get discussion started, there'll be nothing decided.
Right. And as you mentioned, as far as we know, China's a rational state actor. So it's not a situation like Iran where we can't let them get the bomb. I mean, China obviously already has it, and they're more rational, right? At least we believe.
Well, no, I think they are. There's no doubt about it. I mean, if they weren't rational, we'd all have blown up the world by now.
Right.
And then on prisoners, I think on prisoners we're going to come out ahead. And I don't think, and I think China here is looking more for goodwill than they are for anything specific, because this idea of holding these prisoners hurts them all over the world. But that doesn't answer the Jimmy Lai question. And you're going to say, well, why Jimmy Lai? Is he that important to them? No. This is our Western mistake for the best of reasons. We made too much of him. Not that he isn't an extraordinarily important person. I think he's one of the great people of the last 2 centuries. But you don't let them know that. So they know they have a lot more bargaining position with Jimmy than with anybody else. I mean, they could give us 50 people and it wouldn't matter that much to them. They get some plus out of it. Now, there's one final issue I left out. And you may say why. And I'm going to put it on top, and then we're going to integrate it tomorrow. Called Iran.
I just know that.
Okay. So Iran. Here's why I don't think Iran is really an issue. We don't need them. We shouldn't give any up for them. And we should let them know that we are, and that in many subtle ways, this is extraordinarily damaging to our relationship, that they were supporting Iran so strongly against us. And so here's what will happen. They'll say, well, then you shouldn't be supporting Taiwan. You shouldn't sell them that next 15 trillion worth of arms that we got you to hold up. And we're going to say, oh, but there's a difference. They haven't shot anybody. They haven't killed any of you with those arms. Right. But you bastards have sold that to them, and they've killed us and the Israelis and the Saudis, and they're using your stupid weapons. Now, thank God your weapons don't work that well because we can knock them out of the sky. But right. So I think Iran, we have beaten them. I know every one of the left-wing newspapers says that this is a big problem for Trump. Trump goes into it with a big problem. China doesn't have that many friends. Iran was one of them. What use is Iran? I mean, Iran is a basket case. Whatever else you want to think of Iran, it's a basket case. And what are the odds that Iran's going to make it through the next year? Certainly, we're probably at the point where it's going to cost too much to help them. So we've already won Iran. If there were a chance they'd come in as an honest broker, it would be worth it. But there's nothing honest about them. So I'd almost turn them down and say, well, you had your chance, it's over.
Well, what about the Strait of Hormuz? Will the president?
What do we care about the Strait of Hormuz? Ultimately, the price of oil is high. We're getting through it. It's $4 or $5. We can handle it. It's going to go down if the Strait of Hormuz stayed closed forever, the price of oil is going to go down, because already we're moving away from it. Already we're using overland routes. Okay. America is making a fortune off selling its own oil and gas.
So you think, you and the president think a lot alike in a lot of ways, Mayor, where the media is playing up this, the president needs Xi Jinping to help with the Strait of Hormuz. You seem to think maybe that's not necessarily.
I wish he doesn't use Xi Jinping for that, because he doesn't need him for the Strait of Hormuz. He doesn't need that. He doesn't need that plus for China.
It hurts China more than
Yeah,
Australia
and in a
does.
way, it re-involves China. It's possible to describe how badly China is being hurt by 20 to 30% of their oil come from there.
Mhm.
If they're getting 10% of what they were getting, it's a lot. And now it's almost been, now that they got the shadow fleet, we got almost a complete stranglehold on them. So I would certainly not use them for the Strait of Hormuz. Let's take a break and we'll come back and we will bring you up on all of the other things going on, which also have sides to them that people aren't analyzing and are analyzing unfairly and misleading. It's our purpose. U.S. Army Major Scott Smiley paid a high price serving our nation. Scott was leading his platoon in Iraq when a blast sent shrapnel through his eyes, leaving him blind and temporarily paralyzed. Scott would become the first blind active duty military officer before medically retiring years later. Thanks to friends like you, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation gave Scott and his family a mortgage-free, specially adapted smart home. Show your support for America's heroes now. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org.
Are you ready for some action?
I'm ready for action.
Get the Elite TV plan only through the portal. 218 channels, and it's only $69.95 a month,
Wow.
including your free portal.
That's cheaper than everyone else.
Your favorite sports, movies, news,
Wow.
even daytime dramas. We're talking about ESPN, OAN, Newsmax,
Wow.
channels you can't get anymore in certain areas.
Compared to the competition, this is a way better deal.
Endless selection. Not to mention all the free music channels. There's over 700 premium and classic movies all ready to go.
Wow.
Plus, they got catch-up TV that allows you to go back and watch what you've missed or want to watch again. Cut your cable in half and get twice as much for free.
Way more channels for half the cost.
After the first year, the subscription then drops to $57.95 monthly,
Wow.
where you change or upgrade anytime. Go to QUXNow.com and get yours today. Use promo code RUDY. Act fast. These deals are selling out.
Here we are, pretty much at the beginning of the process here at this pristine, I call it a laboratory. It's not like a factory, it's like a hospital. This is the beginning of the process for roasting. Deep grain, very good quality. Most people don't use this quality. We deal with small farmers because they like to know who we're dealing with. They give us the highest quality, all organic, non-GMO. You should know all Arabica beans, no Robusto, all Arabica. They're gonna go into the roaster and it'll get roasted for about 20 minutes or so. Oh my goodness, look at these. My goodness. You're going to want to specially order these. This is what goes into Rudy's coffee. Well, thank you for staying with us and thank you for coming back. And I want to remind you that you can build an online business with Sticker Mule Pro. It's only $9 a month. And it comes with everything you need to build your online business. And you're going to be concentrating on patriotic merchandise. You get an e-commerce store. You get email marketing. You get SMS marketing.
That's text messages.
Yep. And you get a customer service platform and more. I was going to have my granddaughter Grace advertise this because she has her own store. And she is going to be using Sticker Mule. I'm kidding. Maybe she will. We're going to see. I like it. So let's go through a couple of things quickly. First of all, Iran now has asserts that it's expanded the Strait of Hormuz. In other words, what they're saying is that they restricted passage in a certain area of the Strait of Hormuz. And now they're expanding it. It's not the entire strait, but it's most of the strait. Now, all of this is the usual fiction and lies of a decrepit, lying, pathological, homicidal, atheistic regime. The Strait of Hormuz is not the Panama Canal. It's not the Suez Canal. Iran doesn't own it any more than we do. It's a body of water off their shore. They can't stop you from using them. They can't collect. It's piracy to collect for going through. The fact that the world is so warped makes this like an American issue. This is America trying to create freedom of the seas for the world because nobody else has the balls to do it. Trump should be charging all of them for what we're doing. He probably wants to. So the reality is they are now asserting, and this is all part of their braggadocio from guys who aren't going to be around for very long. The more they talk and you get to see them, somebody will put something on their head. Mohammed Akbarzadeh, who has now put himself, I'm sure, on the hit list, right? Said that Iran would not allow any kind of encroachment upon its waters and interests. It's not their water. In the past, the Strait of Hormuz was defined as a limited area around islands such as Hormuz and Hemgan. But today, this has changed. Iran now considers the strait to stretch hundreds of miles from the coast of Jask to the Great Tomb Island. The Strait of Hormuz has grown larger and has turned into a vast operational area. Let them try it. Now, if you want to see this, oh, I'm having trouble with this. Okay.
Show us.
I'm going to show you the Strait of Hormuz, but I have the exact one that I want.
Okay. Well, of course.
Oh, you want to show something? Go ahead.
Well, we can bring up the Strait of Hormuz. It may not be the one you have, but of course, that's one point that the media seems to think the president should be focused on in his discussions with Xi Jinping.
Yeah, of course, they want Xi Jinping to get credit for it because they're a bunch of communists.
So here's a picture of the strait. Here's some activity in the strait right now. We have a map of the strait up. I don't know if that's helpful to you. Oh, you have the one you want?
Yeah, but the one I want right now is to show you how what China is affected adversely by this 5 times more than we are.
Yeah,
maybe 10 times more than we are. I mean, it's not even a fair comparison. In March 14th, we did a U.S.-Japan energy package to make up for any problems Japan might have, similar to what China has. So Japan is not suffering the way China is, which has them going crazy. That's another sub-issue we will probably list on our group of lists, which is Japan. They want us to calm down Japan's desire to go to war with them. Japan has basically said, if they touch Taiwan, you got a war. If I were China, I wouldn't wake up Japan. Then we did our strikes in early April. In April 14th, we did a defense partnership focused on China with Indonesia. And then on the 16th with the Philippines. And believe it or not, now with the Balkans. So while we're getting ready for this nice little talk here, we haven't been asleep, boys and girls. You know, we haven't. Nobody's been asleep here. Meanwhile, we we have, I think, the opportunity, as soon as this is over, to end this thing. And I think I know what's going to happen. But I'm going to save that for tomorrow night because it requires a little explanation. And quite honestly, I'd like to have just a little bit of time I'd like to have a little bit of time to rethink it, to go through it myself, because there's a lot to it. There's a great deal to it. So then the two spy situations. First, we've got the situation in California with the mayor, Wang, who turns out to be a Chinese CCP operative working through her boyfriend. Looks like the reverse of Congressman Schrader and Wang Wang, or the very, very distinguished elderly former member of the Senate, Dianne Feinstein, and a Chinese communist driver for 19 years, who couldn't possibly have missed her talking about secrets because she was on the Intelligence Committee and she had a big mouth. Why these people aren't being punished for this, I have no idea. Well, Fang got everything she wanted out of him, including, I think, a computer. It's ridiculous how the Chinese have infiltrated us. Now you've got this case in New York, and this is a little bit different. This is an extortion case. So this woman who operates under the guidance of a guy who's already been convicted of being a spy, has been extorting vast amount of money from a wealthy guy, and then finally the price got too great. But while she's doing it, she's also putting out propaganda for the Chinese government, and they probably have a whole scheme to kind of swing him in. So she just got arrested in the Eastern District of New York, and there are about 3 other Chinese spy cases going on right now. Now, should the president put that on the agenda? Sure, but now you got to get realistic, right? We do the same thing, and if we don't, it's our fault. I mean, I would say that our abilities in China are nowhere near what they were are nowhere near what they were in Russia. And are nowhere near what Israel makes available to us with the MEK in Iran, and that's a problem we have to deal with. I mean, China is as evil or worse than Iran, or Iran is evil or worse. But Iran, believe it or not, is a more open society. They don't have the ability to close it down as much. China, for a big country, does about as good a job of closing itself down as it can. Can't completely. And then, of course, the one that does the most is North Korea. So I would say that the trip so far has gone well, but there's no way to tell until they really start discussing tomorrow. Do we have any update on this thing?
Well, the lid was lifted at 8 p.m. about an hour ago, but we're waiting on anything. We believe the summit is about to kick off, and so we're looking to see, and we'll obviously have a lot of updates on tomorrow's show on what happens these next 22 hours.
So if you want to take a nice picture of something, if you're getting hungry and you want to order it.
Uh-oh.
Oh, you getting hungry?
Oh, look at that. What is that, Mayor?
That is a pizza from New York. It was selected by the New York Post, great writer who writes on this all the time. I don't know. I think I can mention, but it's made. I think it's made by a Japanese guy. Look at it. Isn't it great looking?
What is that? Just the burnt crust on the around the edges there? That's burnt crust.
I
huh?
think so. Look at those tomatoes. So he says when you have it, those tomatoes like explode a little. When you have it, they're all juicy and they explode a little. And it's this is a basic Neapolitan pizza. I think the place is called Thai. I'll get the right place for you.
Yeah, get
tomorrow.
the address. I mean, we got
Yeah.
that looks good, Mayor. Leave
It's a
us
little
with
too far for us to order, but well, again, I want to take just a moment to thank you all for your prayers and for your expressions of goodwill and support and everything else. Yes, of course, the people closest to you that are with you do the most for you, but it is enormously helpful knowing the people are praying for you and supporting you and rooting for you, and it makes you work harder. It makes you try to come out of it faster. It tries to make you come out of it healthier, and it makes you feel useful. And there's nothing, that beats that, right? Nor is there anything that beats the will of God. And as I said, I'm going to tell you my experience, which for me was very meaningful, as I'm sure it would be for you. But I know that it's all in his hands. And I'm very, very comfortable with that. And I know that for the people that we pray for all the time. They're good people who are being put through this scourge, this ideological, satanic scourge that people shouldn't have to go through. So please, I haven't had a chance to ask you to pray for them, and you've done a lot of praying for me. Keep doing it. However, include Iran and Israel. Please make sure that you do, and include Ukraine, include our great people of America. And right now, in particular, give wisdom to our president. Give him the right answers. I say this without any fear of contradiction by any decent, intelligent human being. He's on the right side, and they're on the wrong side. Couldn't be any clearer. He's trying to do the best he can to have your will expressed on earth, and they're doing everything they can to destroy you, God. It's at the core of their philosophy. So a little help for us. I pray for that. And I thank you for bringing me through this. I know you did. So remember to say a little prayer to Our Lady of Fatima to end communism also. There'll be a lot of praying tonight, so you better get off and go to Dr. Maria, the one who did unbelievable work getting me through this. God, she's a hell of a diagnostician. And, of course, to the country that we love with our whole heart and soul. God bless America.
It's our purpose to bring to bear the principle of common sense and rational discussion to the issues of our day. America was created at a time of great turmoil, tremendous disagreements, anger, hatred. There was a book written in 1776 that guided much of the discipline of thinking that brought to us the discovery of our freedoms, of our God-given freedoms. It was Thomas Paine's Common Sense, written in 1776, one of the first American bestsellers, in which Thomas Paine explained, by rational principles, the reason why these small colonies felt the necessity to separate from the Kingdom of Great Britain and the King of England. He explained their inherent desire for liberty, for freedom, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, the ability to select the people who govern them. And he explained it in ways that were understandable to all the people, not just the elite. Because the desire for freedom is universal. The desire for freedom adheres in the human mind, and it is part of the human soul. This is exactly the time we should consult our history. Look at what we've done in the past and see if we can't use it to help us now. We understand that our founders created the greatest country in the history of the world, the greatest democracy, the freest country, a country that has taken more people out of poverty than any country ever. All of us are so fortunate to be Americans. But a great deal of the reason for America's constant ability to self-improve is because we're able to reason, we're able to talk, we're able to analyze. We are able to apply our God-given